Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's proceed with our revision. Okay, so let me just put this on the floor. I don't have enough space here. Do this. Right. So yeah, the rest of the questions should have been a lot easier for you guys because of your exposure to 1A, accounting 1A. Okay. So again, I'm seeing that there's some issues here in the general ledger. Okay. And people love the debtors control, creditors control. Okay. Guys, you need to know your terms. Okay. All right. So you guys have your question paper. So I need you to turn to question 2. Okay. I'm just going to talk about it rather than go through the whole question, but it's pretty straightforward. If we go to the required, they're asking us to open, post, and balance the debtors control account in the general ledger, okay, of Tower Talk for February 2021. Round off to the nearest rand. Okay, that's the first thing they want us to do. Then the next thing that they want us to do is to then prepare the individual account of L. Simpson in the debtors ledger of Tower Talk for February 2021. Okay, again, round off to the nearest rand. And then finally, to prepare the debtors list. Okay, all right, for Tower Talk as at 28 February 2021. Again, round off to the nearest rand, show all your working. Basically, what they want us to do here is debtors reconciliation. Okay. Again, remember debtors reconciliation. All that we're doing there is firstly, we need to do the books of every individual debtor. Once we've done that, we do the debtors list. Okay. Debtors list, we're just taking the balances on each individual debtor, putting them in there. Then after that, we then move over to the debtors control, where we then have to populate that. Once you populated that, the balance on your debtors control must match the balance on your debtors list. Yeah, I'm just taking you through the process here. Once those two match, then you know that you are fine. All the transactions have been recorded correctly. Okay? So, in this scenario, they want us to start with opening the debtors control first. They want us to start there. Not a problem. All right, what information do we have? We have last month's debtors list. Okay, January's debtors list. Okay, and maybe let me just show that for the guys online quickly. So on question 2, there's last month's debtors list. Okay, January's debtors list. Okay, and then we have each individual debtor for February. Okay, I lie, sorry. We have the debtors journal for February. We have the debtors allowance journal for February. We have the cash receipts journal for February. We have the general journal. Okay, that's the information that we have. Okay, cool. So let's get into it. Okay, remember the first thing that they wanted us to do. Oh, let's just look at the additional information as well. They say the check received from L. Simpson on 28 February in settlement of her account was returned by the bank, marked return to drawer, on the 24th of February 2021. This transaction has not yet been recorded. Okay, that tells us that we're going to need to obviously rectify that. Okay, that's going to be rectified in your debtors control and in the individual debtors ledger. Okay, then what's this last statement? It says the debtors control and debtors list was reconciled on 31 January 2021 Okay? So if they're saying it was reconciled, that means that the balances and the total, they matched. So we're happy. Does that make sense? We're together there. So what that's telling you, this debtors list, let me scroll up to the debtors list for Jan, that total over there is now going to be the opening balance for February. It's debtors control. Okay? So now let's get back to, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Yeah. Now we get into our debtors control. There you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to take us step by step to show where we got this from. Okay, we're just discussing, remember? So there's our opening balance. All right, we debit it. Okay, sharp, no problem there. We then go on to the next piece of information they gave us, and that's your debtors journal. For the guys online, let me go there for you as well. Okay, let me zoom in here. Okay, remember we're doing the debtors control. So which column are we interested in here? The debtors control. Okay, it's not rocket science. Remember, we're posting from the journals to the debtors control in order to populate the debtors control. Again, these are things that you should know. So then we ask ourselves, the total at the bottom there, this 62,618, what do we do with it? How do we know what to do with it? We look at the nature of the journal that we are dealing with, debtors journal. Debtors journal, is that going to increase the amount on your debtors control or decrease it? It's going to increase, and that's why you see there it's been debited. So you got what under details you're going to write sales and VAT. Obviously, we're writing the end of the month, 28 February, as the date. DJ under folio. These are things that you guys should know, and then we put in that 62,618. So can you see this is a copy and paste job? Okay, but you need to have known these things. We obviously then go to the next one, and we do the same thing. We say debtors allowance journal. Is that going to reduce or increase my debtors control? Debtors allowance is whenever a debtor has returned goods to you, okay, right, or is asking for a rebate. So the total is what we're interested in, that 8,855. Oops, sorry. So we're going to credit this amount because we know it's going to reduce. So we come and we credit it. Okay, your order might not be exactly the same. It's fine, don't worry. As long as you're debiting and crediting the right amount. So here we credited it. And again, here you can write sales, returns, and VAT, or you can write sales and VAT. Either one would be fine. Okay. Remember the debtors control, we're always using the VAT inclusive amount. Cool. So that's the second journal that we were given there. Then we go to the cash receipts journal. Again, we're only interested in the debtors control because that's what we're dealing with. Now, in the cash receipts journal, we know this is a journal about us receiving money. So if we're receiving money and the title of that column is debtors control, it means our debtors have paid us money, which means they owe us less, which means it's going to reduce our debtors control, all right, or the money that is owed to us by our debtors. So again, we're going to credit that. And there you just write bank, you write CRJ under the folio, and you plug in the amount. Okay, right. All right. Then we move on to next. And here in the general journal, we're looking for everywhere where we've written debtors control. Okay? And then we have to tackle or understand what each of those was actually communicating. So the first one there you can see in brackets. This is where narrations become important. Can you see there? Settlement discount of 5%. Okay? And the fact that we're crediting the debtors control, it means that we were giving the settlement discount. Does that make sense? But it only makes sense with your debtors to be giving the settlement discount as well. But anyway, cool. So that means that since we were giving the discount, okay, as you can see, we credited the creditors control. Okay, it's going to reduce our debtors control. We credited the debtors control, and so we're going to do the exact same thing. So it was a copy and paste job. Only thing you needed to do here is put in the folio, which is GJ, General Journal, and then sales and VAT, okay, which was the contra accounts when we looked at that transaction, isn't? Okay, so that's what we did. And then we go to the next one on the 26th, again, another settlement discount. So we're doing the exact same thing, 315. And look what we did. We did the exact same thing again. Sales and VAT, 315. All right. Okay. The challenge that we have here is that people don't know. They have never practiced posting from the journals to the Debtors Control. And that's a problem. Okay. That's a problem. Okay. You should be comfortable with posting from the journals into any account, whether it's petty cash, any account. Okay. Because you understand the nature of that account, you understand the principles we implement when posting from the journals to that specific account. Okay, right. So the next one here, we now have a credit loss on the 28th. Again, we're saying, what did we do to the debtors control? We credited it. We know that a credit loss is going to reduce. So what are we going to label this as? We look at the contra accounts, credit losses and VAT. Those are the two contra accounts. Okay, so when we come to the debtors control, that's what we're going to write. Credit losses and VAT and GJ. Can you see how simple it is? All right, cool. We've dealt with that. Is there anything else? Let's check. We have, after that, we have amount written off as irrecoverable. Okay, so we also need to, oh, so actually, no, we dealt with this now. We dealt with this. The last one is debtors control. All right, Marvel Ltd. All right, D2. Okay, and here in the narration it says interest for the month on overdue amount at 10% per annum calculated on the month end balance. Okay, so that's telling you this transaction was us charging interest. Okay, us charging interest to this specific debtor. So did they tell us how much the debtor owed at the end of the month? They didn't, right? They just told us that they charged. You can see that they charged, but there was no calculation there. So we now have to go into all the information that we have and then begin to see. All right? What was overdue? Okay? So if we look there on, my online students better just download this assignment for ease of following. So we look at Marvel Ltd. We see that there was a 13,900 that was owing at the beginning of the month. Because remember, this is January. So that means if this is January's debtors list, right? If they were owing 13,900 at the end of, or in January, all right, because this reflects the end of January, it means that moving into February, he still owes, or she still owes this 13,900. Okay, so that's their opening balance in Feb. Cool. Then we go and we see, did they take out any additional stuff? Here you can see they did from the debtors journal. So we add plus 17,250. Okay. Then we say to ourselves, okay, did we write off anything? All right, or reduce, or did they return anything? Okay, we see 2,800, so we can minus that. Okay, that 2,875. Then we say, do they pay any money towards us in the cash receipts? Let's look. I don't see Marvel anywhere. I don't see him anywhere. Okay, General Journal. Did we give him any discounts? I don't see Marvel there anywhere. Okay, so we've done our calculation. Let's quickly see in terms of the balance that's due or outstanding. So there's your calculation in brackets. Can you see it on the screen? Okay, so you got your 13,900, right? Plus the 17,250 what I was talking about. Then we deducted the 2,875. which we got from the debtors allowance journal. All right. Then we know whatever the total that remains after doing that quick arithmetic is now the balance that's outstanding. Okay. Then we times that by the 10%. Okay, because remember they said 10% interest is charged at 10% per annum. Okay, so that means now we also need to split for, this is just 1 month. Okay, that's where the 1/12 is coming from. Then you should arrive at 236. Is it making sense? Are we together? Okay. Guys, at any point, please ask if you have any questions or if anything doesn't make sense. Now, there was one last additional piece of information there that we haven't yet dealt with. And I'm just going to go back so my online students or those who view the YouTube channel know exactly what I'm talking about. This first bullet point here, remember it says we had an RD check. In other words, the check bounced from L. Simpson. All right. So we look at the 26th. What check was this? Where did we receive a payment from this person? Okay, so let's go to the cash receipts as well. In the cash receipts here, you can see there's this 5,900 and something. Okay, so we can see that there. We got this 5,985 on the check. That's how much he wrote the check out for. All right, the 5,985. Okay. But then also remember we just looked at the general journal, and there we see that we also gave L. Simpson a settlement discount granted, right? So if his check bounced on the 26th, when we thought we had received all this money in settlement of her account, we have two things that we need to do. First, we need to reverse that payment. So now I'm going back to the debtors control just to explain this nicely. Okay. So in bank, this is all the money we've received from our debtors. Okay. Right. We assumed that 5,985, I think it is money we have also received. But we then realized at a later point that we didn't receive it, and we didn't record it on the 28th when we realized that. So we now need to take off 5,985, which is what we've done over there. Can you see there? Bank, and then you just put RD. All right, and you can put RD check if you want to. Cash payments journal, because remember an error in the cash receipts needs to be rectified in the cash payments journal. So that's why we've done it there. Happiness there. But then again, we also need to reverse the settlement discount granted because we never got the money. Remember, we only give a settlement discount to encourage someone to pay early. Cool. So sales and VAT, can you see those were the contra accounts in the general journal? And then GJ, and then the 315. Everybody happy? Okay. Then obviously, once you've entered in all your transactions, then you can balance your debtors control. Okay. And that I'm not even going to begin to discuss because I believe you guys are comfortable with that much. Okay. So the second bit now, they wanted us to obviously do the individual debtors ledger for L. Simpson, which again should have been easy for you guys because we did this in Unit 7, all right, in 1A. What do you need to do here? Simply going back to the information that we've been given, and we say, okay, cool. How do we find the opening balance for L. Simpson? We have to look at the debtors list, last month's debtors list, and we see his balance was 12,000. So we know that's the opening balance on his individual ledger account. Cool. Right. We're only interested in L. Simpson. Some people got confused. I don't know what they started doing. They started doing some other funny stuff. I couldn't even make sense of what they were actually doing. So they didn't understand the question, which again is concerning because it then says, have you been practicing this or did you practice this when you were supposed to? Okay. Now I know we wrote exams. Yeah, we wrote exams. We didn't write them online. We wrote them in this semester. Okay, so this stuff should have even been more fresh for you guys. Okay. So anyway, we get to the debtor's journal. We look for L. Simpson. So since there's a 2,875 there, we know that we now also need to include that in his individual account. Okay, I'm just going to identify all the places with L. Simpson. Then we'll go back. Okay, so that's going to increase. So we're going to debit that amount. Remember, debtors is an asset. So it increases on the debit side, decreases on the credit side. Okay, right. We go to the debtor's allowance. Do we have him? Or sorry, it's actually a her. Yes, we have her, and that was a 575. That's going to be credited because it's going to reduce what she owes us. Then, did she make any payments towards us? Yes, 8,000. Okay, 8,000. That's going to reduce what she owes us. So we're going to credit that amount. Okay. Anything else? Yes, I believe she did some things. We gave her a settlement discount on the 26th. Let's see, the 26th. Does that align with the 8,000? That happened on the 14th. Okay. Okay, but yes, L. Simpson did make a payment also on the 26th. So it was both the 14th and the 16th. Sorry, 26th. Okay. So just make record of that. And that was the last transaction, the settlement discount in relation to her account. Okay. Cool. Right. There's also the return to drawer. Okay. That bounce check, in other words. Right. Now let me go back to her individual debtors ledger. So there we have it. There's the 12,000 opening balance. Okay. Yo. Some people were putting the balance in the debit side over here, and it just shows, hey, this person didn't practice Unit 7 when they were supposed to. Okay. This is one of the easiest things to do in accounting because literally you're copying and pasting the invoice number. You don't have to think, what account is this to affected by this? No, all you need here is the document number. Then you need to remember the folio. So folio, okay, where did we get this transaction from? This came from the debtor's journal when she was buying. Throw that in there. There's your debit 2,800. And can you see exactly as I was saying? Credit note, money was maybe she brought back goods, okay, or she got a rebate, okay, and obviously then you adjust the balance accordingly. A lot of people ended off here. They forgot to include the return to drawer transaction with her. So a lot of people missed out on these marks that were here. Okay, it's not bad, it's not much, but guys, you should have collected these. Okay, so this is why we say make sure you have had a good night's rest, because the additional information, I mean, you're going to switch off certain points, finger errors, I mean, number errors and stuff like that if you haven't had a good night's rest. Okay, so don't be living off of Red Bull in order to get to an accounting test. You will make mistakes even though you're awake or whatever. Okay. Then here, I should have actually just left the stuff because I can see time is running away from us. But I'll show you exactly what you needed to do, and I'll show you the amounts that you are supposed to plug in here. So maybe let me start off by actually plugging in the amounts, because I don't want us to run out of time. Okay. So the amounts that for this, you were supposed to get 6,300, and again, this should have come from here. Okay. And then for Marvel, again, okay, so let me do this. All right. Let me do this. I'll show the first one how you were supposed to do it, and then the rest I'll just populate for you guys quickly. Right. So with Marvel, it goes back to how we did things earlier, where we say, okay, what was he or she's opening balance? It was 13,900. Okay, cool. So you come here, you say, okay, cool, Marvel, open brackets, 13,900. Then you say, okay, cool, that was the opening balance. Then you say, okay, were there any other transactions that we had? Let's look at the journals. Debtors journal, yes, Marvel bought new goods, more goods from us, 17,250. You come here, you say plus 17,250. Okay. Did we have anything in the debtors allowance? Yes, we did. There's that 2,875. Cool, no problem. Minus 2,875. Okay, cool. Any other transactions? Let's see. The cash receipts. Did Marvel pay us anything? Nothing under details in reference to Marvel. Okay, so that's fine. Let's skip that. We go to the next one. In the journals, did we have anything with Marvel? Yes, we charged her or him interest. And what did that interest amount to? We'll just go back to the debtors control to find out. Debtors control, we wrote down the interest somewhere. We wrote down the interest somewhere. Oh, here. I'm looking all over the show. This 236. So we come here and we say plus 236. Those brackets, and then the amount you should have come to over there is 28,511. Okay. You come and do the exact same thing for green, open brackets. So according to last month's January's list, it was 9,600 that was owed. According to the debtors journal, they did buy goods worth 1,093. Okay, and then they probably returned goods for 230. Okay, and then the total you should have come to was 10,463. Okay, we're getting the gist of that. I don't need to keep repeating those numbers, right? Okay, you know what? Let me do it just for the sake of, if you guys go back and obviously then want to revise the assignment in your own time, then at least you'll have a reference point in terms of the numbers. So let me just do that quickly. So then 2,300, okay, and then plus 24,150, okay, and then minus 26,450, okay, and that should have given you 0, nothing, okay, they no longer owed us anything. Okay, then here, got a bit complicated. Well, not complicated, but it's a lot more amounts here. 16,500, and then plus 9,775, and then minus 24,961. Okay, and then minus 1,314, and then plus 2,300. Okay. Wherever there was a minus, right? The debtor either was paying us money to reduce their balance, or there was a settlement discount granted, which would coincide with them paying us, or they were returning goods. Okay. Whenever there was a plus, it means maybe there was a check that bounced, so we're adding back whatever we said we wrote off, or they bought more goods from us. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, then the total you should have gotten here is 2,300. Okay, and then that gave you a total balance of, on your debtors list, of 47,574. Now we then go back to where? To the debtors control to see, did we do everything correctly? Have we managed to reconcile? And if we look at our balance there, you can see that we have a balance. A balance there of 47,574. just like we have on the total on the debtors list. So we are happy. Everything is balancing. Okay. So that was your question 2. Are there any questions or thoughts or concerns or suggestions? Everybody happy? Y'all are quiet today. Very, very quiet today. But okay, if you're happy, then I'm happy. The last bit, the last question they had for us, question 3. Let's see what's going on there. Under the required, they say, taking into account all the errors and omissions noted above, prepare the corrected creditors control account for the month of June. Okay, so here now we're looking at the month of June, and we're saying, okay, cool. They've given us the creditors control. Now we have to take into account all these errors and omissions noted above and correct it. Okay. Again, they're testing. Do you guys know your general journal, your creditors control? What would make things increase or decrease? So we then have to read the information given. So we then, at the top of the question, it says, you're provided with the following extracts and information. Okay, so the guys online, let me quickly shift to that. Okay, so here's where we are. So I actually probably just read off of this rather. You're provided with the following extracts and information taken from the books of Leopard Traders for the month of June 2021. Leopard Traders sells clothing that they buy from various suppliers. Leopard Traders uses the perpetual inventory system. You are provided with an incomplete creditors control for the month of June. Okay, the balance at the beginning of the month is correct. The balance at the beginning of the month. Okay, so we know this balance of 55,130 is perfect. It's correct. It's fine. Cool. Then we go and we see the following errors and omissions were noted. The total of the creditors journal has been overcast by 600 Rand. Okay, cool. If something is overcast, what does that mean? It's more than what it should be. Thank you so much. Okay. So we then now need to look and say, okay, which amount would be affected by that? Which amount would we have pulled from the creditors journal and have inserted in our creditors control? Somebody tell me. It's right in front of you. Is the sundry purchases, 100%. So this 13,000 is overcast by 600, means it needs to be reduced by 600, okay, to be correct. So there you should have 12,400, okay. That's the first amendment you need to do. Then you go to B. No entry has been made for the inventory bought on credit, all right, for 2,400, including VAT, less 10% trading discount. Okay. What needs to happen over there? This is an omission, right? It wasn't actually recorded. So we now need to record this in our books. So can I give you guys some advice? When doing these things, my advice to you would actually be that you read through all of the transactions first. And then you actually then make amendments. That would be my advice. So anyway, remember, there they put in brackets including that, okay? And then they said less 10% trade discount. So the first thing that you need to do is remove the 10%. Okay? After you remove the 10%, then you have to also, you just need to remove the 10%. You don't need to remove the VAT because the creditors control, remember, we put the amount inclusive of that. Okay, so now let me go to the answers there, just to show you guys quickly. I didn't leave those things in there. Okay, so let me just quickly type this in here for you. So it's going to be 13,000 over here. Remember, that's initially what we had there, minus the 600. Okay, and then plus. Hey, I'm not going to show you the calculation because this you should be comfortable with, but the amount you should have after removing that 10% should be 2,160, which then should give you this 14,560. Okay, right. So we've dealt with A and B, and then C, it says, let me turn there for my online students. Okay, an original credit note received, all right, for 435 was entered incorrectly in the creditor's allowance journal as 345. Okay. So when you see an error with amount difference, right, where there's we recorded the amount wrongly or there's an amount difference, okay, first thing you want to do is, what is the difference between 435 and 335? That should be 90 Rand. Okay, now we ask ourselves, okay, cool. It was incorrectly recorded as 395. That means that it was 90 Rand less than what it should have been. Because credit notes are supposed to be recorded in the creditor's allowance journal. Okay? So, how then do we record this? Okay? If this thing was a credit allowance transaction, it means that it would have reduced our creditor's control. Am I right or am I wrong? I'm right. Thank you very much. So then what that means is that sundry returns, okay, and you only know that it's sundry returns that's been affected if you actually know your creditors allowance journal. Okay, so initially they gave us 2,800 under sundry returns, but we know that this amount then is short by 90 Rand, so we say then plus 90. Okay, and that's obviously then going to get us to the 2,890 that we then have there. Okay, right. So that was C. Okay, we've dealt with that. We can cross that out. Then we have D that we need to deal with. What is D saying? Let's turn there. They say no entry has been made for interest charged at 12% per annum on the overdue account of 9,000 due to Zebra stores on 30 June 2021. The account is 4 months overdue. Okay, this shouldn't be too hard for you guys to do. It means that we are owing interest. We have to pay interest. Okay, so is that going to increase or decrease our creditors control? Somebody tell me. It's going to increase or decrease our creditors control if we're being charged interest on an overdue amount. It's going to increase, so we need to credit this amount. Okay, interest expense is an expense to us. Okay, right. So I'm here just showing you the calculation. What was the amount owed? 9,000. Okay, so 9,000, and then it was times 4 months, so 4 divided by 12, and the interest rate was 12%, so 0.12. And you should get that that amount of 360. Okay, right. So that was the second last one, and then on E, the very last thing that they needed us to address or correct is they say Lion Wholesalers is also a debtor and shows a credit balance of 400 Rand in the debtors control. Management has decided to transfer this amount to Lion's Wholesalers account in the creditors ledger. No entry has been made. So when you see a question like, when you see a transaction like this, take your time with it, reread it, make sure you understand what's going on. They say a credit balance of 400 in the debtor ledger. Okay, what? A credit balance? What does that mean? Credit balance in the debtors ledger. Think about it. The debtors is an asset, right? So if we have a balance of 400 Rand, remember the debtors increase on the debit side because it's an asset, decreases on the credit side. So if we have a balance of 400 Rand on the credit side, what does that mean? Okay, what it means is that that person has overpaid. We owe them money. Okay, let me actually quickly draw this for you guys. Do I have to go all the way to the top? So draw. Don't worry, guys. This is the last thing we done after this. So just hang in there for me. So this is what it looks like. This is your debtors control. Okay, and they are saying that we have a credit balance of 400. Okay, that's the final balance, eh? Credit balance of 400. Okay. So that means this person probably paid more than what they should have paid to settle their account. Does that make sense? So sorry, it's not the debtors control, it's the individual debtors ledger. Sorry. But anyway, same principle, okay? Increases on the debit side, right? And decreases on the credit side, okay? So again, still holds, they've overpaid, all right? So then, in order to balance this correctly, we would then have to debit 400 Rand, okay? And that's what management is trying to do, okay? And here we then write creditors control, okay? That's what we'd write over there. So that means that here in the creditors control, we would have to credit that 400 Rand. Does that make sense? Which is what you're now seeing over here, okay? And then we have dealt with that, okay? This person's a debtor and a creditor at the same time. So we can set things off against their respective creditor and debtor accounts. I think we touched on this in unit 7 as well, when we were getting towards the end of that. And then finally there, if you look at in your question paper, you'll see that we had in the creditors control, there's a settlement discount received, okay? And they put it on the credit side. I just want to show my online students this quick. If you look there, can you see that? You guys can see that on your papers. It's on the credit side. Now we know that we're dealing with the creditors control. Creditors control increases on the credit side, decreases on the debit side. If we are receiving a settlement discount, that would reduce what we owe people, right? So this should not be on the credit side, because on the credit side increases our creditors control. So this should then obviously be on the debit side, and that is exactly what we need to quickly do to finish off our amended creditors control. And then obviously just balance the account, and we are home and dry. Are there any questions, concerns? So that then draws our revision of our assignment to a close. Okay. Now, I'm sure you guys now understand why I was saying the real question here that may have been challenging was maybe your bank recon. But outside of that, you should have managed to do a decent job with all the other questions, because a lot of it was pretty much revision of what you've already done. Okay. But that said, guys, thank you for coming. I'm going to see you online next week on the 16th and 17th. That'll be our last session together. I'm just going to quickly show you this. From 10 to 12, okay, on the 16th and 17th. So in those two sessions, what I'm going to do with you guys, we've revised our test, we've revised our assignment today. I want to do a past paper on the 16th and a past paper on the 17th. Okay. Again, this will be available on the YouTube channel, right? So yeah, just so you are aware of that.